Welcome, everyone, to the Win Now podcast, hosted by Deborah Byrd, founder and CEO of Plug and Play SM.
I am so excited for today's show, so let's go.
And then myself, Todd Bookspan, founder of Win by Noon. We are talking about the Google AI spam update for midyear 2026 and the 4 action steps that you need to take now in order to make sure you're getting found going forward.
Anytime marketers figure something out, we overdo it, which then the algorithms have to shift and pivot because ultimately they're trying to sell either ads or intelligence. I'm not a big believer in hacks or trends because the goalpost ends up moving. So just being consistent with high authority, educational, valuable content that's in depth.
Welcome to another episode of the Win Now podcast. We are talking about the Google AI spam update for midyear 2026 and the 4 action steps that you need to take now in order to make sure you're getting found going forward. I'm Todd Bookspan, and here's my co-host,
Deborah Byrd, founder of Plug and Play SM.
I just love that there was a pause there because Deborah had to do her dance. She didn't do her dance before I did the introduction. So in case you wondered why
I
there
know,
was
I was off
awkward
my
pause,
mark.
that was it. It's all good. But I think that a lot of you know that Deborah's the CEO and founder of Plug and Play SM, and that she's the go-to person in the mortgage industry and I think in life in general around social media and what it takes there. And she has spent the last year plus going deep down the rabbit hole of AI, AIO, GIO, EIO, whatever all those things are. And you were surprised at these changes that Google has made because obviously it impacts Gemini, which I believe at some point may be the biggest AI platform just because it's on everyone's Android phone and it's in everyone's Google search. And it's probably got a little bit of a trailer then into ChatGPT because a lot of chat stuff's coming off of, I'm sure, their platform as well. So let's talk about it. What happened?
I'm going to have to refer to my notes because this is so fresh and new that a lot of it isn't surprising because I think just the history with marketing, anytime marketers figure something out, we overdo it, which then the algorithms have to shift and pivot because ultimately they're trying to sell either ads or intelligence. And for this case, Google is they've always been very particular on making sure you're not gaming the system and that it's really consumer, factual, good information. That way, ultimately, their consumer can rely on it. Now, they also have ads as well. But this big update was really focused around AI and spam. Not even a year ago, we were in Dallas and we heard Tom Ferry speak at the Momentum Builder event. And there was this checklist of items that I think for the first time, a lot of people, at least in the mortgage or real estate industry, were hearing about, okay, I can create these automated workflows and really mass produce AI content that doesn't have to be just me writing everything out, but I can get it published. And now I can rely on AI as a referral source. And a lot of those tactics and things that he taught, he wasn't the only one. Others were seeing that there was a need for this, or people weren't really blogging anymore. And so you could do a few little tweaks to your process or your system, and all of a sudden now you're ranking and being cited at the top. Really, all of those things that he taught that were like the generic kind of article spinning is what used to be an asset to get you visibility is now probably the biggest liability. So from a mid-year 2026 shift of what shift should you make in your marketing plan based off these updates, the very first one would be to audit your AI visibility, which means how answer friendly is your current content. And when I say answer friendly, it means, are you using the common language that people are asking in generating articles, blogs, YouTube videos, social posts, exactly as they're being asked? And so your action for this number 1 would be for the next 90 days. If you weren't already doing this previously for Q2, I want you to put in your planner every day, just list out what are the most asked questions that you're getting on repeat. And then you're going to identify what are the top 10. And based off those top 10, you're going to record a video. You're going to post it on YouTube. And you can use AI to then assist, okay, how can I take this transcript from YouTube and create an AEO optimized blog for my website that's hyper local and extremely valuable to your market. That could be first-time home buyers or veterans or reverse. and you're going to repurpose that content, but you first have to audit how are you showing up? And based off this June update, is your score, your online trust score dropping?
So what's the
So
difference between doing that video versus the thing before where you're just creating a bunch of them? So this is really just being more laser focused and not mass producing it, producing just a handful of targeted, most relevant topics.
yeah, because a lot of people would even pay for services that they would do these blogs for them like every week. And essentially, what those companies were doing is just running it through an automation that was really just replacing placeholders of real estate agent in Allen, Texas. They would just put Todd Bookspan in which market should I list you in, Todd? Phoenix,
Venice
Arizona,
Beach,
or
either one. You just
okay.
anywhere.
So
Mars.
it was essentially the exact same generic market update, just replacing two placeholders, and it would go across 5,000 different sites for the week. There's a lot of those where it's mass produced, sometimes even company produced. So your homework assignment is to audit what is your digital footprint and how much of it was just a generic subscription that you paid for that was auto posted that you think was creating visibility, which it probably was for that moment in time, but now it's hurting you.
So how do
And
you know if
there's
it's
lots
negative?
of different, oh, go ahead.
How would you know if it's negative then? Is it, can I just leave it there if I had it?
Well,
Or you really think if I have something that's generic, I need to delete it?
you would see right away in your Google Analytics if you ever look at your analytics, or if you just did an AI visibility audit, which is there's a lot of different free tools out there. Some are better than others. You guys can DM me or email me. I'll give you a few that I like to use that are pretty accurate, which if you start tracking that, you'll see and be like, man, why did my score tank? Within the last 2 weeks, we've seen a lot of people who just, it's like, it's a sharp decline. And that's
It's the
typically
fake
around
follower
up.
syndrome. Fake follower syndrome.
Yes, yes. So just rule of thumb, anything that sounds too good to be true or it's a quick hack. I'm not a big believer in hacks or trends because they end up, the goalpost ends up moving. So just being consistent with high authority, educational, valuable content that's in depth. It's not just the cookie cutter vanilla content, which unfortunately AI has made it a little bit easier to create more volume, basically create more generic content where quality matters more than quantity at this rate. Does that
I love that. Yep. All right. So
catch
number
my
one, we're
drift?
going to audit ourselves and delete if needed.
Number two, you're going to eliminate what they call the scaled low value automation. So some of this is piggybacking off of number one, but look at what are all the automated nurture sequences that you have going out that were meant to keep you top of mind. And it was like, it was our way, and we feel like it's working. But when you go back and you review it, it's, man, this is almost devaluing our services and hurting us because this is just, it's our way of scaling what we thought was valuable that's now just making it noise. So again, this goes back to a lot of this is with your CRM or your company CRMs of what's the frequency of touches that are going out? Are you even aware of what's going out? How would you rate its value if it's going to one to many and it's maybe it's a market update when you just closed on some clients 2 months ago? Are you really segmenting your database and being very intentional with the messages that are going out along with what you're putting on social? Is it just generic updates that are more national based, or are you hyper local? And I think Gary Vee, I think he said he published over 400 pieces in one day because he now has so many accounts. He has Gary Vee, I think Uncle Gary Vee on TikTok and all of his different business ventures that he has, instead of just having one account, which we typically would set up because you wanted to create this massive following. You didn't want to compete with yourself because that's how you got visibility, was based off following. Now it's not based off following anymore. It's based off interest. So he's created dozens of accounts that all create content that helps him grow his reach, not by relying on just one account.
So I saw something, he said 408 posts. He said, I'll do 480
Oh,
today. And most of you won't even do 480 this year. And so you're saying that he literally is segmenting the content, not just based on platform, but because he's got the Gary V, plus he's got V friends, plus he's doing all. So based on the project he's doing, he's creating a whole new account so that he's getting followers that are just interested in that thing.
yes, which leads me to point number three, which is pivoting your content based off of more hyper local or niche markets. Niche or niche? I say niche. What do you say?
I'm like,
Niche?
if I had a Rolex, I'd probably say niche, but so
Niche
I just say
market.
niche.
So out of market buyers, there's a big group of people that make good income that may be leaving places like California. You're the strange one that actually moved to California,
Yeah,
Todd.
beautiful
But
today. I saw the
like
heat
moving,
be 100 degrees everywhere in the country today, but not here. 64, baby.
wow.
I was cold this morning when I was out walking. It's
Okay,
beautiful.
so out of market buyers because they have portable income, so they work remotely. We're seeing some demographic changes where maybe because of the weather, but they're asking things like moving to Allen, Texas from California, how do lenders verify blank income, like remote income? That would just be so you could have an account specifically for out of market moving out of state, how to relocate. Like that is a very niche or niche market. Also, first time millennials, a little bit different
Well,
than just first time.
so you're saying I would go out and I could have four different Instagram accounts that all have different personas of me as a loan officer or me as a real estate agent, but each one specifically talks about that.
Yes.
So I
Kind of
could
like
do
you see
one.
with ESPN, they have multiple different accounts.
I just didn't know if you got limited by the socials to how many accounts you could have.
It can't all be the same name, obviously, but
Yeah.
no, you can have several different interests and several. I have multiple accounts. I had more, and then I shut it down because it does become something you need to be mindful of is capacity. This is where leveraging out, and if you have marketing support, again, this does not mean AI slop and automation where it's just generic because no one needs more noise and no one needs more news. People can get that through AI now. It's your interpretation of it and how are you capitalizing on what's of the interest of that particular group. Reverse mortgage, let's just say reverse, that is a very different messaging and things that they would be interested in researching than your millennial first time home buyers. And I think that is a big challenge that a lot of real estate or loan officers typically have is we have so many different people we're talking to because we'll help anyone that wants to buy or sell.
Yeah, no,
And
that
then you
totally
throw
makes sense.
recruiting in there. What'd you say?
So that makes sense. And that's number three.
Three is you're pivoting your content to
The
go after the
specificity.
pockets of demand that are moving.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
especially thinking of the second half of the year, typically after 4th of July, it just starts to slow down. So, think of who is moving and what is the driving force behind that.
Yeah. I love that. All right. What's
And
number
then the
four?
last one is leveraging the single pass video repurposing, which this we've touched on before, where you take the fix is you have a long piece of content that you put on YouTube, and now you're going to repurpose it as short form content on YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, and then you can also rewrite that as a Substack article or a blog. Even better if you can embed the video in the blog, but it's essentially taking that single pass of a video, which we know video has the highest level of influence and conviction. People still love to learn through video. And how do you take that single asset and run it through to repurpose it to create a content wheel of multiple different angles?
So
So those
what
are
it
the
sounds
four.
so what
Leverage
it sounds
single
like to
pass
me is
video.
just, yeah, just a laser focus approach to what people should have already been doing, but they all of a sudden found out a year ago there was some easy buttons to it to either pay someone else to do it or let AI do it. So they overdid it. Now Google said, that's called slop and spam. We're going to eliminate that. And now you're just saying, hey, we got to get back to the basics and we got to be really laser focused on the content we're producing and then how we redistribute that. And that specificity matters, using your word of niche or niche.
So the two triggers I want y'all to keep front and center is frequently asked questions, which create the system that helps you capture those questions, like in a safe place, whether it's a certain page in your planner that you have for each quarter, and you just get good at writing them down. So you need a system that captures that. So then you can create from that. Now you could also go to Google Search Console or go to TikTok or try to find frequently asked questions, but you need to create that system in place. And then every single loan app or closing, so it doesn't just have to be closings, anything that can be a case study or client example of how your advice either made the difference or what was the problem and solution. Like that is a story you can tell if you just built the system and got good at, okay, here was maybe you let AI, after you ask for permission, record the meeting, and then you run it through an automation or workflow following Donald Miller's story brand, okay, where it could then write the story arc where it makes it relevant, but also sticky, memorable, and it's backed by hyper local case study from your market. That's not going to be AI slop or regurgitated as a mass produced campaign that these people are just paying for, thinking it's growing their visibility when in fact it's not. So it doesn't mean AI can't help you. That's not what I'm saying with this. It's AI assisted, but try to get really good at capturing those two things as the foundation of your content moving forward. And this update will help you, and it will become an asset instead of a liability.
I love it. I love it. I think it's an honor to get to work alongside of someone who's so smart, who's staying relevant on the trends, and is going to continue to educate us here on the Win Now podcast of what we need to do to be relevant in Google, still the number one place people search, and AI going forward, which will be the number one place that people search going forward, in my opinion.
That's what I'm here for, Todd. That's what we do.
Woo. All right. I love it. I love it. As always, if you are one of the few people, that's more than a few people, who listen to our podcast each week and have not liked it, maybe given us a 5-star review on your favorite platform, follow us. We would really appreciate it. We are honored that you listen. We are honored that you are part of our community, and we look forward to seeing you win in this market and markets going forward.
So all you have to do is win now.